Give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
And pow, we are back on the SUMELEVATE podcast again, and we have a guest with us today, and we have Kaivon, who's a man of many talents. He's a life coach, he's a yoga teacher, he's a personal trainer and a YouTube personality, and he's born in America and was the first person in his family to become a U.S. citizen, growing up in a first-generation Iranian-American household. His parents taught him to have good morals, to be kind, and that he would have to work very hard to become successful, but their definition of success was a lot different than what he defined success as. To him, success was following his dreams, whereas his parents' definition of success was to become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, or anything to have a stable income and a prominent life. On his way to finding himself, he held a lot of different jobs. He graduated with an AA in business from the community college, and he was selling items door to door before moving on to a level 1 sommelier certificate and becoming a wine salesman. Once he decided to go back to school, he enrolled in Arizona State University and earned a bachelor's degree in exercise and wellness. During this time, Kaivon was still lost and didn't know what his true passion was. He knew that he loved health and wellness, but he didn't want to get stuck with having the same type of people over and over again. And he started soul searching, and he found this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that changed his life forever. So once he read that book, a gigantic fire was lit underneath him that propelled him towards his one true goal in life, helping others by motivating, inspiring, and being there for them. It's only been 2 years since he read that book, but since then he's read over 50 books, become a certified personal trainer, certified 200-hour yoga instructor, and earned his life coaching credentials from one of the most prominent life coaching schools in America, the Institute for Personal Excellence in Coaching. He's now following his passion, and although it's not always pretty and not always easy, he knows he's on the right path towards achieving the type of success he desires out of life. It's good to have you on, bro.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. All right, so my first question to you is, how did this all begin? How did your coaching journey begin? How did you decide that you wanted to take this course and that you wanted to just dive in?
That's good. I think it starts with that book, right?
Yeah.
I decided to stay at my cousin's house in LA. So when I was in LA, he was at work all the time, and one day he left a book on the counter. And that book, and when he was at work, I was like, hey, do you mind if I read something? I'm bored. I have nothing to do. He's like, yeah, read that book. So I read that book, and I didn't know how powerful that book was going to be. It just shifted my entire perspective and gave me a whole new outlook on life, that what's possible for me, and made me realize that the only person that was holding me back from success was myself, and that I needed to take responsibility for everything that's happening in my life and stop blaming, my parents or outside circumstances, and things that I thought were problems that really weren't. So I read that book, and it sent me down a lot of different paths. I became a Forex trader, started trading currencies, and that didn't work out for whatever reason, a lot of reasons. Started personal training, and then I started working with the same people and over again. I realized that although I was helping people and I liked that, I didn't like the people I was working with, so I wasn't truly satisfied. So I went and got a job as a bartender, which is completely different, right? And I just started making money while I was trying to figure out my passions. And during this time, I kept reading, kept exercising, kept finding spirituality, meditating. And I was doing a lot of meditation and a lot of reading. And I started meditating on what I really wanted out of life. And I just sat there for a while. And one day, I remember it was August of last year. And I just realized, I was like, I want to help people. That's it. Everything I do is always around helping people, and that's my true passion, is motivating and inspiring others. So I decided that from that day forward, I was going to motivate and inspire others, and I was going to help other people. And one way that I saw her do that was life coaching. I saw that everyone was a life coach. I didn't really know what it was, but I thought it was interesting to get into. And I was like, all right, and I signed up for it. And when I learned what life coaching was, it completely was a 360 of what I thought it was. I thought life coaching was giving advice and consulting people. Once I went to school and you realize you don't tell people what to do, you empower them to make their own decisions. That's what really felt it.
Yeah. That was really an eye-opener for me too when I first got into this. I was interested primarily in acting and kind of the whole fake it till you make it approach. So I kind of got into the social dynamics and all that community as well. And I mean, that's where I started. I couldn't get into a relationship. So kind of I started to help myself, got on to the personal development journey. Then from there, I kind of started this this interest in positive psychology after college, which I realized also by also reading a book. So that's interesting that we both have that connection. Then that book was The Power of Now. Yeah, and I think that definitely changed something for me, especially just that whole idea of mindfulness and really like how we have to stop thinking about the past and stop worrying about the future, really.
Yeah, The Power of Now I read a couple months ago, and that book was definitely powerful because it teaches you that present is all you have, and that really flipped everything for me when you realize that the past and the future aren't things, they're just like memories that aren't really real, that don't really mean anything. It's right now in the present moment. So I've really been preaching that in my yoga classes a lot. And I think one thing that I've really heard lately that maybe your viewers would really like hearing was I was listening to a CD by Abraham and Hicks. I'm not sure if you know who that is. It's the publisher. Yeah, and she was talking about how we're flowing down the river of life, and constantly we're trying to swim upstream. We're trying to swim towards this goal against the current, and we think that we can go upstream, but that just wastes our energy. When we learn to let go and just become present and accept what is, the current turns us around and takes us faster towards our goals. But a lot of us aren't willing to let go because letting go is scary. And that's kind of like what that presence is letting go of all the past and future, just becoming present now. And when you really do, it is kind of scary, taking everything in all at once. But it's exciting also as well.
Absolutely, yeah. She has a lot of great things to say. It's so interesting, the whole idea of like how Esther can channel this one consciousness. Though to me that was kind of shocking, but
it is a little out there, right? I guess most people won't be willing to listen to that, but if you just disregard that and just forget about the channeling someone and just listen to actually what she's saying, it makes sense. And that's all I care about. I don't care about it. It makes sense to me and I can use it in my life, then I'll listen to you.
No, I definitely resonate with that. So why esoteric coaching for you? Why that name?
So the name, right?
Yeah.
You asking about the name?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember what book I was reading, but I read that book and the term esoteric kept coming up and I didn't know what it meant. So I looked it up in the dictionary. I thought the definition was really interesting, and the word just always stuck with me. It's just like, I don't know if your viewers know or anyone else knows, it's kind of a weird word where esoteric is like information that's not really known by most people. It's like a few people, like a select few people. So I thought that was very interesting. So my coaching is called Esoteric Coaching because by being coach, you're choosing to be part of that select few of individuals who are actually chasing personal development, who are actually trying to become their true self and actualize their life. So that's why I call it esoteric coaching, because not that many people are willing to put themselves out there and say they need help. We all do, but a lot of us aren't willing to admit it and go out and seek that. So that's what I'm here. I'm here to help you become part of that 1% that most people never decide to go for.
That's cool, man. I like that. That exclusive tribe. Say a client comes to you and tells you, my life is really boring. I'm not doing much. So how does someone lead an interesting life if one of your coachees comes to you and asks you, how do I lead an interesting life? What would be your response to that?
The first thing I would ask is, what interests you, right? Instead of, I can't tell them what's going to be an interesting life, because for me, what's interesting could be nothing to them. To me,
totally
working out, learning
right?
about science, learning about nutrition, that's interesting to me. So being able to do that for my life and be able to make money off that and to continue, that's interesting for me. But for someone else, it could be, creating a business online and creating passive income, and that's interesting to them. Or maybe it's traveling the world with their girlfriend or husband and getting to see different sites and different food. So finding out what their interests are and talking about what are they doing right now that involves their interests, that's how I probably figure out how to live an interesting life, or how, you have to play to other people's strengths and other people's interests. That's the thing about coaching. And if a coach is telling you what to do and what's interesting, they're no longer a coach, they're a consultant. So there's two different things, and a lot of people get those mixed up.
What are some of the biggest sticking points for your clients, that you've noticed, that come up over and over again?
I think for most people, it's just doing the work that they said they're going to do. I think it comes down to that in all parts of life. We can all sit there for an hour and make an action plan, and it sounds easy and it sounds simple to do, but to quote Jim Rohn, what's simple to do is also simple and easy not to do, right? So it's easy not to go and study 30 minutes a day. It's easy not to get up 20 minutes earlier and work and write 750 words into a book. So I think for most people, it's getting up and taking consistent action. Because what I've noticed with people and clients is that the first few weeks they have a life coach, they're excited because it's new. It's brand new to them. They're feeling pumped up. It's like when you start a diet, you feel ready to go for the first couple weeks. But then you get to the point where it's like, all right, this is getting hard, and that excitement for when you start something new is kind of wearing off, and now it's about your commitment.
Yeah, it's like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's the honeymoon phase in the beginning. Yeah. So when that honeymoon phase wears off and it becomes real life, that's where I think most people get stuck, because they go, oh, I thought this would be easier. I thought that you would just tell them, like, give me advice and then my life would be fixed, but it's not that easy. Yeah. I wish it was.
Yeah, it can definitely be a challenging process and journey for some people. So what's your tip for any clients looking to lose weight or really start their fitness journey?
I think the number one thing when coming and losing weight is, like I said earlier, if you just make a diet, the diet isn't going to be hard to do. Like, yeah, people find it hard, and it gets hard sometimes, but it's the same thing. I think, to quoting Tony Robbins and Simon Sinek, is you need to know your why. Yeah. Why do you want to lose weight? If your why isn't powerful enough, of course eating food and breaking your diet is going to attract you more. Like, if it's to lose 2 pounds and you don't have a reason why, then that pizza in the fridge isn't going to stop you from eating it. But if it's, hey, I have a wedding coming up in a week, I want to make sure I fit into the suit properly, I want to look good in these pictures, and that why is powerful and compelling to you, it's going to be a lot easier for you to stick and lose weight. And another thing is education. I think it's really important. If you're going to lose weight, educate yourself, because you'll become more involved in it. You'll be like, all right, now I know the health benefits of it. It's not just about losing weight now. Now it's about, getting over my depression or relieving my anxiety or helping my blood system circulate. I don't know. For me, it was just the information behind it was what made me help stick to it, because I just love learning more about it. And the more I learned, the more motivated I was to go do it. So I think it's finding your why. Why do you want to lose weight? And of course, that's not going to help you lose weight, but it's going to give you the motivation when it gets hard to keep going.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, when you were younger, were you primarily interested in a lot of sports and health and a lot of that?
Yeah, my parents put me in sports since I was like 3. So I've been in sports since I was a kid. I played, like, I was in taekwondo, I did soccer. And then when I moved up, I played all the sports through like middle school. When I got to high school, I got into more extreme sports, so skateboarding and like stuff like that. But I was always active. I was always hiking. So I can't really relate to people who aren't active, just because I was always raised up around it. But I did get lazy and I did make bad decisions. So just being active isn't enough, but I was always involved in some kind of sport.
Great.
I don't work out. I'll go literally nuts if I don't get exercise. So I have to work out.
What's your favorite thing that you do at the gym that you always are like, all right, I'm going to do a little bit of this every day?
I used to be a lot more into lifting weights, and I still lift about 3 times a week. I just learned how to do it less and get better results. But I do jiu-jitsu and I do yoga, and I need variation. Once you get used to trying different things and you realize they're all difficult in their own way, like I can't just do one thing. I think that's my thing, is I have to do something different every day. I have to do jujitsu. I have to do yoga every once in a while. I have to go play basketball. I have to go hike. I need to get active in different ways, because your body and your mind craves variety. They want different things. That's why you can't have the same food every single day. And there's an explanation for that scientifically, why your dopamine level drops off when you do something over and over again. It gives you less and less dopamine. So having a variety keeps it exciting, keeps me wanting to go.
Right, and also that novelty, so every time you're kind of tweaking something or you're getting better at it in that upward spiral.
Seeing progress is always nice.
Yeah. How much does your own kind of spirituality play into your teaching clients about yoga, and how does that relate?
You know, not push my ideas on people. I might throw what we call bliss bombs in yoga every once in a while, where information, something like, like a aha statement in the middle of the yoga. Yeah. But for the most part, the way where I teach, it's power yoga, so it's a lot more workout, and at the end I get to give my share, and that's when I kind of throw some insightful stuff. But at the same time, I don't expect anyone to take, if they take something from it, they will. So I try to keep my opinions and stuff outside of other people. Especially as a coach, you realize, like, I don't want to influence you. Like, I want to give you information and let you choose what to do with it. So, like with clients, coaching clients, what I'll say is, hey, I read this in a book one day and it said this. What do you think about that? Instead of me saying, hey, this is what it said, you should do that. There's a complete different, hey, I read this. What do you think about it? Because now you're flipping it on them and letting them make their own opinions. Right. So I think that's one. Let other people have the choice to deciding.
Right. I think that's really powerful too. Sometimes, a lot of the times, people will coach themselves in a way, and so when they listen to their own voice, it kind of revs up their epiphanies. How did you get into this YouTube game? How did that happen? Yeah,
that's interesting. I mean, I did want to. When I first started my journey, I made a YouTube with my friend Nehemiah Douglas, who is a prominent businessman now. He's been on Forbes, Yahoo Finance, all these kind of stuff. He has a company called Vision Training Network, and he created his own firm. But at the time, we made a YouTube called Opinion Nation Station, where we were going to give our opinions on subjects. And I started making videos on that, and I kind of liked it. And then I fell off. And then, before I quit my bartending job like 5 months ago to go full-time with my coaching and yoga, I decided I was going to make a YouTube channel to share my ideas with people, because I wanted to share. And it became more fun for me, and I started doing fitness vlogs and getting into editing. So I think now it's about creating content. Like Gary Vee always says, just keep creating, keep doing things, and the more you create. It's something that Jim Rohn told me that, he didn't tell me, but I listened to, that really stuck out was, we're like cups, cups of water. And when our cup gets full, can it get more full? And most people say no, but in humans it's yes, because you can spill the water out by giving out the information, and the cup is empty again, you can fill it up with new information. So the more I share, the more new ideas come to me, and the more I have to share again. So I created it, and hoping... in the future, I do hope to create income off that. I do hope to make that something that I can do instead of having to worry about money coming in. It's like, hey, I do this, it brings it in. I am part of the fitness industry. So I'm hoping to use it to build my business, have some fun. And that's the reason why.
That's great. So that giving, that sharing is definitely a part of your journey.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's all giving, no taking, right? Yeah. Receiving and giving are two sides of the same coin. So the more you give, the more likely you're going to receive. It might not be in the exact same way, but you're going to receive one way or another. Whether that's a new client, a new friendship, a new experience, life will give.
Definitely. So, in your favorite concepts in coaching or personal development, what is something that stood out to you amongst the rest?
I think one thing that's from the very beginning was take responsibility. I think that's huge, because a lot of people are making excuses. They go, oh, I'm not losing weight because, I don't have the right diet, or I don't have the right coach, I don't have the right workout. It's like, all right, well,
the right genetics.
fault is that, right? Genetics, like everyone has those excuses. They think this, but everyone thinks they're unique. Everyone thinks like, oh no, it's just happening to me. But it's like people who are successful went through the same thing you did, but they pushed through it. They took responsibility and they found a way. So, I mean, that's what changed my entire life, was like learning that I had to take responsibility for my mind. I had to take responsibility for my life. If you're not getting girls, if you're not smart enough, you think, or you're not getting promoted in your job, you're not as healthy as you'd like to be, it's no one else's fault.
Yeah.
You can blame the bully from 3rd grade, but that's 10 years ago. He's not even around anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you now using that as an excuse. So take responsibility, realize that you've been making excuses by taking one new idea, one new concept. Like you said, you read a book, it changed your entire life. I read a book, it changed my entire life. It took a $10 book to change our entire existence. So that's what I'm saying. The information's out there. You need to go and search for it. No one's just going to give it to you.
Right. What do you think that drive to be kind of transcend the mediocre comes from?
I mean, everyone wants to be unique. No one wants to be the C student, right? Everyone wants to be the number one person, and I think that's good. I think that's great. It's important to realize that not everyone's going to be great, though. I mean, but that's because not everyone's going to put in the work. But I think the reason why being mediocre doesn't sit say it feels like it hurts you. You're like, oh, I don't like how that feels just talking about it. Because I think we were born to live a higher purpose. We were born to grow. You know, it's either grow or die, right? Yeah. So we were born to get bigger. We were born to expand. We were born to get smarter and explore and create more. So when you don't do that and you're mediocre, you're not living up to your full potential. And the spirit inside of you is letting you know that, hey, like you could be doing more, you should be. You should be giving more energy. You should be exhausted by the end of your day every single day and then take a rest day for a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it comes from an inner being inside of us that knows we're capable of doing a lot more.
Great. So if you had kind of one thing that you did, if you had a lot of money, what would be the first thing that you'd do?
You know, I've been really thinking about that lately. I've been really thinking about it because I keep thinking I need things, I need that. I'm like, all right, well, you know, you're sitting here, but if you had all the money in the world, what would you do right now? And a lot of time my mind just blanks. Yeah. And I think you know what I would do is I would hire someone to help me find what it is I want to do with that money. But besides that, I think I'd travel. I think I'd travel a lot. I think I would go and I would use that money while traveling to boost other people's economy of buying like different foods and talking to people and, you know, helping people in different places and walking. So I think what I would love to do if I had a lot of money was to take my camera, my editing software, my laptop, my phone, my camera with my backpack, travel the world and document it and share my journey with other people to inspire and motivate others. So I think I'd still use it to help benefit me, but benefit others as well. And I think that's important to talk about as I'm saying that is it's okay to have self-interest when it benefits others.
Got it.
Yeah, like it's okay to be selfish if your selfishness is benefiting other people.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way of
I don't know if that resonates with you. I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
It's super powerful to think of.
So, what do you think are the most important qualities for any leader?
I think the first thing a leader needs to do is learn how to follow. I think a great leader was first a great follower who understood what the leader, like, you know, when you're able to follow and you're able to understand everything the leader needs you to do and without arguing, then when you get to that position, you'll understand like what it takes. I also think it takes courage. You need to be willing to not be liked. I think, you know, being a leader in society for most people, when you venture into a new territory, there's going to be backlash. No one's going to want to believe that you could do it, and people are going to say everything against you. So you need to have strength, courage, and you need to be open-minded and realize that it's not just about you, it's about your team. And I think another thing is a great leader knows their team's strengths and puts that ahead of their own. So if someone's a better delegator, they're not going to think, well, I'm the leader, I'm going to delegate. It's like, hey, listen, John, you're better at delegation. You go and handle this. I'll handle everything else that I know how to do. So being able to be humble enough to say, hey, this isn't what I'm good at, and finding the right person to do that. I think that's what all great leaders do. Look at Henry Ford and all those other people from the past. Those guys didn't know everything about their business, but they knew how to hire the right people to do that for them. So a great leader knows how to delegate.
That's really important. I think even when I'm recording music and I don't know what to do in that moment, I don't know how to mix the track, or I always reach out to people to do that for me. I think it's important to just get yourself to step out from the standard and then kind of be like, I don't have to be good at everything. It's kind of like you can delegate. That's a great point.
No, yeah, especially in music. I was a producer and stuff in college and stuff too. I did a lot of music, and you're not supposed to be good at every single. You can be. There are people who are.
Yeah.
But why waste your time trying to do all of it at once when you can concentrate on one area, let other people handle the rest, and catch up once you get prominent. Like once you get good at the area, like all right, now I'll work on my other skills because that skill's not going to go away now, and I have time to work.
Then leverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So, what would be one of your tips for somebody who's struggling with their self-esteem or their confidence?
Get out there and do something that scares you. I think it'll change your entire perspective. That's what I started doing. I had a lot of social anxiety growing up, and I never had like a problem with women, and I made friends, but I was still very social anxious, and it's still to this point. I'm not social anxious anymore, but I'm not where I want to be socially. So I purposely go and put myself in situations that are scary for me. So I remember a couple months ago, one of my experiences was I went downtown and there was a crowded street, and I don't like being shirtless in public. So I don't like embarrassing myself. So one thing I did was I took off my shirt and I started clapping above my head as loud as I can, walking down the street for 10 minutes, and I wanted to see what would happen. And it shocked the hell out of me because I realized no one gives a what you're doing. No one cares that you're clapping down the street. Like people would look at me and then look away right away. And it blew my mind to realize that there's a billion people out there, but you have to do a lot more than just act a little crazy to get their attention. Most people are too sucked up in their own world to care about what you're doing. So getting out there and realizing that people aren't thinking about everything you're doing, people aren't judging you, and they don't have that kind of attention span to like really sit there and analyze you the way you think they are. I think that's important for someone to have confidence as well. And also go out there, try things. Rejection, I honestly think rejection hurts less than not trying. Like when I don't do something, it hurts a lot more because I'm rejecting myself. Whereas someone else rejects, and okay, cool, at least I did it. Like, yeah, that didn't go the way I wanted to, but now I have a learning lesson and I can try something else, and I can at least say, hey, I tried that didn't work, let me go try this now. So if you don't go out there and do anything, you're going to stay insecure. But if you make changes and you try to do something that you're not used to doing, you're going to grow.
That's really interesting. What is something that really changes someone's perspective when it comes to health and fitness and really pushing past any plateaus in the gym or in their own private life?
I think in health and fitness, it's learning that a lot of information that you hear from people isn't true. Eating 6 meals a day boosts up your metabolism. That's not true. A lot of things like, you have to eat a clean diet perfectly. That's not true. So learning to filter through all the messages that people give you and understand what's a fact in science and what's not a fact is also important. Also realizing that you yourself are unique, and certain things that work for someone is not going to work for you. Certain foods that help someone else lose weight would make you maybe gain weight. So I think with health and wellness, it's about exploring, being able to experiment, and also staying consistent. When you choose to do something, it's not going, hey, this didn't work after a week and flip-flopping. It's giving it time, giving it at least 2 to 4 weeks, trying it out, and at least saying, hey, I gave that a try, that didn't work, now I'll try this. So being consistent and finding knowledge, I think, is the top 2 that will help you improve.
How does somebody acquire that kind of consistency?
Habit, right? So we're creatures of habit, and habits, I think, define who we are as people. When you look at someone who's successful, they created the habit of becoming successful by doing certain things over and over again. When you look at someone who's in incredible shape, they have the habit of going to the gym. They have the habit of watching what they eat. They have the habit of learning when to stop and learning when to sleep the right times and how to take care of their body. And these are things they had to do over and over and over again to the point where they don't think about it now. It's just what they do.
Yeah.
So if you want to become, for some reason, staying fit is the main topic we're talking about. So we'll talk about that. If you want to become fit, you need to realize if going to the gym and eating healthy right now is not a habit of yours, it's going to be difficult for the first 3 to 6 months, right? It's going to be maybe less, but it's going to be difficult for a while because your body is used to doing something else, and our brains are very efficient. They want to be able to do things in the easiest way possible to save us energy. When we have to spend all this energy creating a new habit, it fights against us, right? It doesn't want. That's why when you decide that you want to read every day, it's so hard to read every day because you spent 7 years, 10 years not doing that. And that's your habit. Right. So changing is going to take a little bit of time, but once you get that ball rolling and you get that positive momentum going, it'll just get easier and easier to keep going. And now you probably, like where I am, is I don't even think about going to the gym. I just go. I don't even think about skipping a week. That's harder for me to skip a day than it is to go now, because that's a habit of mine.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
That's great. So, in terms of people who are really kind of stuck in their own bubble and their own addictions, like say someone is really addicted to video games and they don't want to leave the house, so subconsciously they don't want to leave the house, but people around them are telling them, like, you gotta go out, you gotta do something, why are you just sitting here? And he knows this, however, there's this block. So what's a way to handle that?
No, I've been there. I was addicted. I wouldn't say I was addicted. I loved video games as a kid, so I played video games all the time. I used to lock myself for hours. I mean, like days. There'd be days where I'd play every day, sleep 3 hours, wake up and play 12 hours. So I totally understand that. Take a goal of yours and break it down to small steps. Maybe today it's just going outside and going on a 10-minute walk, because that's not scary. Right? Go, hey, let down the video game, go spend all day outside and go be social. That's kind of huge. Like, oh, I've never done that. Like, I just want to stay home. Of course they're not going to do it. It's overwhelming. But if you go, hey, take a 10-minute break from your video game. I'm not saying you can't play, but go outside, go walk around the block real quick, maybe go to the store and pick up some groceries and come back. You're at least breaking that pattern just a little bit. So the more you break it, easier it is. Like, and then maybe a week from now, like, hey, instead of 10 minutes, go 15 minutes. Hey, instead of 15, go 20. Hey, how about this Friday night? Just this Friday night, once every month, you go do something else. And that little bit is eventually going to make it easier for you to stray away from it. It doesn't have to be all at once. You can do that. I mean, that's how I kind of did a lot of things. But it's also important to take small steps, because if you break that habit, let's say you're a video game person, for 1 week, you stop going to video games, you go out every single day, but then the next week you fall back into the pattern and now you can't quit again. I'd rather someone else go out every day for 10 minutes for 6 months than someone do that for 1 week perfectly and fall back in the pattern and never be able to do it again.
Yeah. It's kind of like you put like a little bit of your toe into the water and then your whole foot and then your kind of your whole leg, and then it's going from there. So it's like you're making little steps to progress so that you can see maybe a bigger goal in the future.
Exactly. Just dip your toes in the water now, and don't worry about the whole foot for now. Just worry about the toe, and then when you get the toe becomes easy, worry about the ankle, and when the ankle comes easy, you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera.
That's great. I like that analogy. I just came up with that, but I think my brand is called That Splash Lash, so I always use water analogies. If you have a conflict between your heart and your mind on something, what's the best? What would you do in that situation, or what would you tell someone to do?
Can you give me like a situation where the heart and mind are conflicted? Like, because that's a very hard question to answer, because
in my course, in my course in positive psychology that I took, they told me that sometimes when you have this pull, this tug of war happening, it's better to just drop the rope. And
that's
I don't know.
Idea.
Yeah, I kind of resonate with that, but yeah, what are your opinions on that?
Okay, so if your heart's telling you to do one thing in your mind, like I'm for some reason the first thing that's coming up is a girl. Like, you know, let's say like you broke up with the girl, she cheated on you, and she's asking for you to take it back. Your heart says, I want to be with her because you have love for her, but your mind knows that she cheated on you and that you don't want to do that. So I think in that situation, you need to step back. You need to step back and realize that both your heart and your mind are coming from a place where they're trying to help you. They're both like, you know, your heart is just trying to help you feel loved and help you get something that you need, which is loving and nurturing, and your mind is trying to protect you from getting hurt. So of course there's going to be that pull, right? Because on one side is that one major need, which is love, and on the other side there's the other major need, which is avoiding pain. So I think being able to step back and being able to kind of like look at both sides and not trying to fight them, but like, all right, heart, I understand where you're coming from, and you're right, I would do like to get loving. Mind, you're right, this girl did this to me. I'm not saying that you should listen to either or. I'm just saying step back, listen to each one, and then decide to make a decision from there. Like, all right, you know what, I do want to be loved, but this girl hurt me, so I'm going to tell this girl, hey, I appreciate it, I understand, I do love you, but I'm going to step back and do my own thing for a little while, and you will realize that, you know, other girls are going to give you love. So I'm not exactly sure. It's really hard to decide because they're both good messages, but sometimes you need to step back and probably just think with your soul instead of your heart or your mind. Step back and let your soul take control instead. Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it. Kind of in the triad, you're just going straight for the soul, man.
I mean, probably the biggest thing in the world is like, you know, like part of you wants security, right? But the other part of you wants to be an entrepreneur and be free. So like that's where I'm at a lot of times. Like I want to not have a 9-to-5 job, but I do want some type of security, and you can't really have both, and there's a pool. So you kind of got to figure out a way to get both, right? You got to find a solution. And the only way you can do this is by stepping back and be like, all right, what do I need to sacrifice? Part of that sacrifice, you have to realize that one way or another, you're sacrificing something. There's never a decision where there's not an opportunity cost. There's always going to be some type of sacrifice you're going to have to make, whether that's for fitness, whether that's to become successful, whether that's like, you know what I mean? If you want to play video games, you're sacrificing being able to meet other people and socialize. If you want to become, you know, a really, really fit person, you're going to have to sacrifice some types of leisure. You're not going to be able to sit around on the couch for 8 hours a day anymore. You're not going to be able to eat whatever you want and gain weight. Like, you know, you're not saying you can't have cake, but you're not going to have cake every single day all the time anymore. Like, there is a sacrifice you have to make.
Right. There's always a bit of a compromise,
I mean, that's life. They're never going to let you just have everything and be awesome. But this life's not like that. You can get close to it, but it'll never be 100%.
Great. All right. Well, I'm afraid we're running out of time, but I like to leave the people that I'm interviewing with a last kind of final thing, is that what is something that makes you, what is a quote or like a catchphrase that you've heard that will make the audience listening kind of step out of themselves and go, what? Like, make them think a little bit.
Oh man, and I wish quotes came to me that easy. I read so much and they just go poof out of my head. But
know what you say.
I think there's no such thing as good or bad.
Yeah.
That's really important. And I know a lot of people say they understand that, but they don't. If I told you a mass murderer is not bad, people would be like, no, he is. Well, if you believe there's no such thing as good or bad, you'd realize that no person is evil or good. They're just who they are, and their experiences have shaped them to be who they are, and they're perfect the way they are. So it's a very hard thing to accept, and I have trouble accepting it too, but when you really realize like that's a real statement and there's no bad or wrong decision, they're just decisions with different results. I'm not going to say that's going to change my life, but right now that's coming to me. I wish you let me know before. I would have probably like looked at my book and like, which quote did I highlighted?
No, I think that's a great one, and that really has I've thought on that and pondered about that a lot. One thing is like I think of in math they talk about fuzzy set theory. So it's like everything is gray area. There's not really black and white, but there's always a lot of gray area. And so, yeah, it's important to recognize that things are different, but to varying degrees. And that it's not 100% one thing and not the other. It's not heaven or
Yeah.
hell, but it's how much of heaven is in this moment, or
Yeah, that's I like how much heaven or how much hell is in this moment. There's
Yeah.
always going to be a balance, right?
Yeah, balance. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Well,
Yeah.
it's amazing that I could connect with you, man, and thank you so much for doing this. And
I appreciate you having me on here.
great, man. And I will hope to see you again, man, sometime. Hope to see you flourish in the future.
Anytime you're back on the channel, let me know. I'm here.
Awesome, dude. All right.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for having me. All your audiences really got something out of it. And if you are listening, make sure to give this guy a follow. He seems like a really nice dude, and he has his good head on his shoulders. You should watch his video podcast, listen to it every single time it comes out.
Hey, thanks, man. All right.
Okay.
Peace and love.
All right.
Have a high vibrational day. Keep doing your yoga thing. Peace.
Peace.